welcome to the Tanya Hoffman's Fabulous TV Show. And this is Tanya Hoffman. I am the CEO and founder of the Public Speakers Association. And these are my incredible guests, Miss Marian LaSalle, yay!
Right.
And Mr. Russ Johns, yay!
Fantastic.
I always feel like I'm Kermit the Frog when I do that. I'm like, yay!
Well, it's awesome to be here too. It's fantastic Friday. I mean, at least in our neighborhood, the weather is awesome. So,
right?
If it's snowing or raining in your place, wherever you are,
Sorry.
it's unfortunate. However, I'm sure that we'll trade off days once in a while.
Exactly. I know, you've got to really enjoy where you're living, So I'm talking to a lady in Edmonton and it's like minus 20 or whatever. And she's complaining. I'm like, well, you chose to live there. So there are solutions.
That's what I tell my daughter too. She lives in Michigan. I'm like, okay, don't complain when it's 20 below and the snow's up to your second floor.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, I wanted our fabulous guests because everyone that I only bring in fabulous people. And that's just period, end of story. And so that's why I asked Ms. Marian and Russ to come in. They are part of the Futures Media Association, and I love their approach to all things media. Really, how are you going to drive people to you? How are you going to, right? That's the basis of it. How can you change their lives if they don't even know about you, right?
Right.
So, go ahead, Russ.
And I was just to say, and this is an example of some of the things that we're helping others do. You taught people how to get on Blab. Getting that face in front of the audience is exactly what we want to do in this day and age. Just because what that does is allows people to know your personality, who you are, and you've had this experience too. And I know you have. Is people see you on here or on Twitter, Facebook, or somewhere else, and they feel like they know you when you first meet them.
Exactly.
Isn't that an amazing experience?
Oh, I've witnessed it both times. If I see somebody that I recognize from different shows and I actually meet them in person, I'm like, oh, I know you, and they have no idea who I am. So I can understand that's happening to me too. People are thinking, oh, wow, I know all about her because I see her all the time. And it's like, I don't know you, but I want to build that community.
Yeah. It's weird now, when I used to own retail stores back in Houston, I closed them all up in 99. You only had yellow pages, you had newspapers, you had radio, and it was all expensive, right? And nobody knew you unless they came into your store. They physically walked in, and they still didn't know you, right? They came in, they bought whatever they wanted. They may have chatted for a bit, but then they left. It was never building a community of people. And that's what I really love about what the internet has brought us, is the ability to have amazing people all come together and connect and really know each other, or feel like we know each other.
Well, and what's really amazing is the fact that you can do it with someone we've had people on our shows with Australia, Africa, New Zealand, UK, all over the world, and literally have conversations and follow up and build relationships around, with different people around the world. And it's just amazing that it can take place with free technology,
It's amazing, and then it kind of breaches into what always happens to me that it takes me a second to jump back on, is when you meet someone physically in person, right? And they already know you. And you're like, how do you know me, right? I was on an airplane. I'm always on an airplane, but I was on an airplane the other day, and a guy was pulling off his luggage, to get ready to go off, and he turned around and he saw me. He was like, jumped back. He's like, oh my gosh, you're that Tanya speaker woman person. And suddenly everyone's like, who is she? Who is she? And I was like, okay, people, let's get off the plane. Yes, I am. Hi, everyone. Let's go.
Goodbye. Hurry up. I want to get off.
But it's such a weird seeing that happens, because people really do feel like they know you because they've been a part of your life. And I really think that's so valuable nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to expand on that. For people who are just getting into their business, or who people have been around for a while and they're just starting to get online to really understand what we're talking about here, build it and they won't come. That is no longer, build a website and people are not going to run in there and buy anything. Okay. It doesn't happen that way anymore. What you have to do is lay the foundation, which is a website, of course. You want to be able to blog, you want to be able to have your own show, you want to have all these things going, so that when people type in your keywords, they're typing in something about, they want something. They want an answer to a question. They have a problem. And when they type in the information and find you, they're going to see that you have the answer, right? So do you still have to sell? Absolutely. Do not think that just because you do stuff online means you don't have to, complete that sales cycle. You do. But that base has got to be there.
Yes.
That's my story.
Exactly. And you've got to reach out and connect with people that you resonate with. So one of the things that I don't understand, because to me, it just doesn't make any sense. I meet somebody. So say I met you, Marianne, online, right here on Blab. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she sounds so brilliant. I totally get what she's saying. But then I don't do anything. I don't reach out to you. I don't say hi. There's no way for me to connect over to you. And I think that is such a waste. If you find someone that you're like, oh my gosh, reach out to them and say hello, follow them on social media, follow them and, get into their newsletter on their website. You've got to reach out to people so they can help you, because we're all so nice too.
Well, and we're willing to help. I mean, there's an abundance. That's the thing with the internet today, is the fact that there's so much information being produced every single day. And, people are starving for the educational process. There's no lack of information. They can do that. However, they still want a connection. People still want a connection. They still want to be able to have somebody help them along the path and say, okay, well, I could figure this out, but I'd rather have somebody help me figure it out.
Right.
It's like having a guide before you go into the woods and, take this journey. It's like, okay, I don't want to travel alone. I want to have a travel guide take me, because they know where everything is. They've been there, they've done that. And it's much easier and much more comforting to have somebody help you along the way. So, you don't have to worry about having that, being the first one in the line. Even though some of us like to be there, there's people out there that will help you learn what needs to happen next.
Well, it's also about creating opportunities, right? There's so much that is offered to you when you reach out, and you're just connections, right? It's about the connections and the ability to reach out to the community of like-minded people, because you never know where those opportunities are going to happen and what's going to happen from that. I was just on a ladies' radio show this morning at 7:30 a.m. I'm like, really? You have to have your A? But anyways, I'm like,
I love her. Who's her name? I want to be on that show.
Right. And she was one of the people that came on Blab, and was just one of the people that was listening. And she's like, oh my gosh, I want you on my show. And we had a blast this morning. Right. So you really have to reach out and just connect with people, because they're waiting for you to connect.
So
what's true? Somebody has to do it. Might as well be you.
Exactly. Go ahead, Russ.
I was going to say, so do you have a process that you go through? Because, we connect with so many people. And one of the questions that I always have for others is, what's your process? What goes through your head when you're connecting with somebody? Or do you have a workflow, or do you have a follow-up sequence that because you can only really be connected with so many people in your head. And then after that, you have to actually use other systems in order to, keep all that information organized, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a systematic process that you go through in order to maintain all of the connections and all of the things that the balls that you're juggling in there every day?
People love this question, because they ask me all the time, how in the world do you keep up with everybody? Mm-hmm. And I wish there was an easier explanation, but I would reach out to, so say if I met Marion and she was over on the site, and I'd be like, hey, Marion, just like I did with the Fabulous Miss Hamilton, right? I was like, I want to connect with you. I went to her profile while we were talking. I follow her because it's all about following each other, right? So I followed her. So I always follow everyone that's listening. And then how can we connect? What can we do? And those who reach out and those who do connect are the people who I connect with, because to me, people have to meet me halfway. And those who meet me halfway, okay, let's figure out how we can do business together. Let's see, do I need your products? Do you need mine? Can I be on your show? Do you want to be on mine? You know, we learn how to play together. Who can I connect you to? And it's all about the conversations. It's about getting on the phone, you know, or Skype or something, and actually having a conversation with people. So my calendars are always really, really booked because that's what I do. That's how I do it.
Well, that's very cool. That's very cool.
You have a good.
So literally, you connect with them, you follow up, and you just have a cycle of following up with people.
Yeah, you know, and those that need to keep going on, you know, for me, a lot of it is about, you know, I buy into a lot of people's programs and a lot of people's memberships, and sometimes I just buy stuff from people to get closer to them. So you find someone that you're like, ooh, this person would be so fabulous to really be a part of their world. You need to take that next step in whatever that manner may be. You know, because even if you have them, so say if you've got a radio show and you have them on your radio show. So say I meet Marion, it's like, oh, I just love her. She's on my show. And then she goes away and I never hear from her again. I'm going to forget about Marion. But thank goodness Marion didn't do that. She became one of my best friends. You know, Russ, you and I, you know, we kind of keep bumping into each other,
right?
But we haven't really like solidified the relationship. Does that make sense? It's like we've got to go take that to the next step. And that's where usually most people stop.
Yeah, and they get stuck because they're not sure.
Okay, why? Let's figure out why. There's fear. There's, you know, there's only so many hours in the day. So we feel like, you know, we have priorities.
Yeah.
But 90% of the, or more, 95% of the people out there that you talk to in business, especially for themselves, the follow-up is the hardest thing for everyone. And I want to know why. Even for me, I don't do it, and I know I should.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to. I loved you here. I want to meet with you again, but we don't. What's up with that?
Well, I think it's just because we are so busy, right? So and I know that tech guys, I know y'all probably are going to freak out, but I actually use a calendar I make in paper. It's crazy. So I don't use Google Calendar. I don't use Outlook.
Oh, you are birds of a feather.
Paper.
Birds of a feather.
And I write down. So if I'm like, I need to reconnect with Marion, I'll put it on my calendar. She doesn't know. So I was like, okay, let's see. April 25th, I'm going to contact Marion. If you do those kind of things for yourself, especially for the people that do.
I have to stop you, Tanya. How many entries do you have in some of your calendars that say it's blocked out for something and you're not sure what it is? Do you ever have that take place?
Never. What?
Never. Oh, never. That would never happen to me. Yeah.
It's better than putting it into Google Calendar and going, oh, I forgot to put the person's, you know, I mean, everything. There's no perfect system.
Yeah. Susan Hamilton uses paper too. You know, I filled up literally, you know, these Moleskine journals. I filled up literally dozens of these things over the years. And I still, if it's not in my calendar, on my Google Calendar, it doesn't happen. I have to put it in my Google Calendar.
And I totally get why people do it, because you can pull up your beautiful phone, see my sparkly, you know, phone. I know. Now, this is what geeks like freak out about, because it's gorgeous, you know, $150 Swarovski crystals. It has absolutely no way to protect my phone at all, but it looks damn good. So, but I get why people put it into their phones, because you're walking around with your calendar. So I totally get, and then it syncs up. That's awesome. But as we know, things fail, and my big old fingers just doesn't seem to want to type in the right stuff. So we have to figure out what is a solution for ourselves, even in this mass of internet possibilities. How do we do this? You know, and how do we create systems on top of that?
It's so funny. Well, since we're nerds and we're talking about nerd things, I was working with Marion last week, and she was writing on notes on paper. You know, we're working all day, working along. And over the course of probably 6 hours, she had made notes on about 3 or 4 pieces of paper. So I said, Marion, you're going to have to do something. So I love this app called Todoist, right? Yeah. Okay.
No wonder I love you so much, Tom.
That's why you get along.
That's not half of them.
I love it.
All right, I'm just going to shut up.
I don't feel so bad now.
I was going to share some information, but I don't think this is the audience to share this information.
Yes, we don't want to have all those pieces of paper, Russ. Please share.
Yeah.
Oh, my husband, he always has his little notepad, you know, the notepad thing open on his computer, and he types everything in there. And he's like, why don't you just do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I like the little sticky things and sticking it to something. I don't know. There's something about that.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm in a mastermind group that we were working on this, and there's, you know, if you've ever used IFTTT or Todoist or the Do app, there's a couple of systems you can actually have on your phone where you launch this, launch this app, right?
But you need someone like you to figure all that stuff out, Russ. Come on.
Okay.
And it's so time consuming when I could just take a pen and a paper. I don't have to open anything. I just go right. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
no, he really does
then
have
I open
something
this
good.
up, right? Then I hit my microphone and I say, Tanya Hoffman rocks, right?
Connect with her next week.
So then I hit this button right there.
Is that all broken?
Yeah,
Yes,
I dropped it on the
that's
concrete.
terrible.
So,
Don't get one of these Swarovski crystals because it doesn't work for you obviously.
yeah, it doesn't. Well, what I had, it's a long story, but I talk into it. It types it. It's in my inbox. It's in my Todoist, and so I can put it on the calendar. I can schedule it. I can add it.
I have tried sending myself texts, sending myself emails, but then it gets just in all the gazillions of emails and texts that I get. So, you know, you've got to figure out a system that works. And
yeah,
some people, I mean, my husband, if it's not on a computer program or an app like that, it doesn't get done for him. He can't do little pieces of paper. It drives him nuts. So you really have to find what works.
Isn't that the beauty? That's real life. That is exactly what, you know, we have to find workflows that work for us.
Yes. Now let's get down to some juicy media, you know, internet. Let's have some fun. So I just got off the phone with a fabulous guy that he's in Canada. So he speaks French too. So, you know, it always helps when you have that French accent. Just saying, if y'all want to do that.
I'll work on that.
Awesome. It would go with your beer. No, you know. So what is like your favorite thing that people usually don't do in their business? Like some type of funnel or what?
Repeat that question.
A workflow process or a marketing effort?
Is there something? Yeah, I mean anything. I mean, it's such. I know that's like super broad, but
yeah, bring it down.
Okay, so if people are on Blab and they're trying to use Blab, let's go with that. So they're trying to use some type of live broadcasting, so Periscope or Blab or something along those lines. How are they going to get people to their website?
Ooh, that's a great question.
The call to action.
Do you want to take a stab at it, and then I'll share my thoughts?
Okay, you go, Marion.
Sure. Okay, sure. So this is also another big problem for business owners, especially internet marketers. We forget the call to action. And Russ and I are so aware of that we belong to a mastermind called Call to Action.
Nice.
And that's what we work on. We keep each other, you know, going in that direction because it's hard and it's something you really have to work on. So my opinion is that you need to have a call to action for everything you do. But it doesn't have to be that you're selling something. It just means that you're asking them to do something, asking them to connect, and I'm going to take a sidestep here just a little bit. Never, ever, ever on Twitter, when someone follows you, tell them to follow you somewhere else. Okay, that's not a good call to action.
Right?
You already have them on Twitter, right? Don't.
Yeah. Hey, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn over here.
Right?
Drives me nuts.
I know. I just go next. I can't deal with that, really.
Yeah.
You got me right here. I'm reading your stuff. So anyway, think about what you're doing when you're saying, the call to action that you're trying to get them to do to connect with you. The best one I've found so far is, hey, do you have 10 minutes to chat? Let's take this offline and get to know each other better. Whoa, is that big or what?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I do that all the time. I'm like, hey, let's chat. And then the word chat has a different feeling than let's talk or let's have a strategy session. It's just open, right? Let's just chat.
Yeah.
Let's chat. A quick 10-minute chat. That's what I say.
And one of the things,
can we actually talk anything in 10 minutes? I don't think so.
No, but
well, 10 minutes is like a code for.
right.
I get it. I'm
Right.
just chat. I'm
Right.
just. What do you think, Russ?
Well, I love that, and the fact that Mary and I have been working on a lot of different projects over the years, and one of the things that I've been experimenting with recently that I find that has been really responsive for me is actually creating a short video. Say, hey, thanks. It was great to connect with you, and I'd love to follow up and look on next steps. And it's a little more technical. However, it's still easy access because, like, even on Blab, your account, it's attached to your Twitter account, right? So you can actually do video back in a direct message. So if you get that conversation started, you can actually do a video, a short video, and send it out. Either that or an email. You can send it out in email. Video. We really believe strongly in video and what we're doing in Future Media Association and Agency 258. So if we take that to the next level and use it for connecting, it's like that extra little step. It doesn't take a lot of time. It takes a little extra time. However, if I can send you a video and say, hey, Tanya, thanks for being on the show today. I love what you're doing. Really appreciate it. Let's schedule some time next week to follow up.
There you go.
How
there you go. Don't just say thank you. It was nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Just like Tanya said earlier, you got to meet me halfway. If I tell you thank you, then I'm going to have to say, okay, now it's your turn.
Yeah.
Right?
So how are you getting people to click on it that they don't feel, because I see people send me a link to a video and they're like, hey, watch my video as a thank you or something. How are you getting them to click on it? Because 100% of the time I don't click.
Well, it's not clicking on the video as much as, you can actually, well, and that's what I've been experimenting with is actually the video can play right in the email.
Oh, okay.
So
you open up the email and you already are there and you already are talking.
Yeah,
nice.
You click on the email and say thank you. You have a thank you over the top of it or something like that. And it's literally, I've had people.
Okay, so wait a minute. So what you're confusing this with, Tanya, is he's saying just thank you, and you're saying they're going to sell me something. So you have to distinguish whether I'm trying to sell you something and you want to watch my video so I can sell you.
Right.
Versus what Russ is saying here is just thanks for connecting with me, and there's no sales pitch.
Right.
It could be a call to action, but not a sales pitch.
Yeah. I could see if it opens up automatically when you open up the email, but I'm always skeptical of clicking on anything that takes me someplace else because you just never know where you're actually going to be taken if you don't know that person. Like if I got an email from you, Russ, then yeah, I'd watch it. But if it's some random dude with long, beard, maybe not.
and typically, and this is a key ingredient, is that you're not sending it out blind. You're not just blasting this out to people you've never met before. You're blasting it out to people that have dropped on your show, connected with you in some way, shape, or form, or you've connected with them on Twitter. So you can take Twitter, you can do a video, or, and then because you don't have their email. However, if you get to that point where then you get their email, or you connect them on LinkedIn is a good example. I like LinkedIn a lot more for that reason, is I have their email address and say, hey, we connected on LinkedIn. It was your birthday. I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday, and I'd love to connect and find out a little more about you and what you're doing.
I love that you brought that up. So, what's interesting to me is LinkedIn and Facebook, right? They let you know when someone's birthday is, or an anniversary or something like that. And so, like, I just had an anniversary for the Public Speakers Association. We've been in business going in our 4th year now. So we've been in business 3 years.
Has it been that long?
I know, right? And so you get, right? Oh, I know you have. It's like 3 years worth of beard right there. So you start looking at people, oh, happy, congrats. It's exactly, they're just hitting, send. They're not even taking the opportunity to say something. They're just automatic.
That's where people are falling short, because you have a huge opportunity right there to say, because you can say, congrats, it's 4 years, blah, and hit okay, right?
Yeah.
Or you could take it to the next level, because with LinkedIn, you actually have their email address, right? So you could actually write something in there, and it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be challenging. You can write something else in there to make it personal, right? Mm-hmm. Say, I'm glad, so glad that I know you, and, wishing you the very best in the new year, or, something that allows them to know and recognize that it's personal.
Yeah, that you took the time to write something out, and especially so if you're going to hit, congrats on your anniversary, because it's already made for you. You just delete it and you write something else, and it doesn't take you long, especially if you've got your phone apps, especially for like Facebook, and you're posting something for their birthday instead of just saying happy birthday, come up with your own uniqueness. Mine's always yippee, another fabulous year.
Right. And I always have the images that I always send out.
Yeah, it just makes you stand out instead of just being another 14 million people that said happy birthday to you or congrats. You're standing out, and I always look at that and I'm like, oh look, Russ actually sent something and wasn't just hit.
Yeah.
I admit I got one of those in LinkedIn. I got they sent out, Marion's been in business for so many years or whatever. And every single one of them, well, not everyone, but most of them said the same thing. I said, oh, this must be like a canned response.
Yep.
And I just finally forget. I'm not even going to bother.
Well, and
they didn't bother.
Well, that's exactly right. So and who has time? If you've got, if I got 25 people that just said, congrats on your anniversary, they just hit the little button. I mean, it was nice that they hit the button, but then I've got to go and I've got to delete all of those, and say that I saw them on LinkedIn. So it gets rid of you got a message,
Right.
It's just say something.
And I think the bigger point in the conversation that is more important here is the fact that social media, and this is where people, I think, are kind of misled, or they imagine some other result, is social media is just another touch point to connect and build a relationship. It's like Susan Hamilton said in the sidebar here, it's to build a relationship with. It's not the end all. It's like Marion said earlier, that's not how you sell. You sell by connecting with them and actually having real conversations and transactions taking place. And social is just a tool, a channel, and a method to have the conversation start up.
Exactly.
And I think people try to short circuit that process. And I've been, I'm talking out of experience here because I've been there and done that myself, is, you try to do something in social, you continue to pursue it, and you can have 10,000 people in your network, and if you're not actually connecting with them, nothing's going to happen.
Exactly.
I have a question for y'all, and that's from Texas, y'all. Rodeo's coming, we got lots of cowboys hanging out now.
Nice.
Everywhere. Anyway, I was wondering if we could take what Russ is talking about with sending an email instead of sending an email, and we could take what Tanya does and marry those two together on live Facebook, the Facebook Live. What if we could do that every time somebody asks to be our friend, or anytime somebody wishes us happy birthday or something? What if we could make a personal video that way? Because most people are on Facebook.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that solve the technical issues? Because it's so easy.
It would, and if you have to have a strategy. Now, this is what I see a problem for most people, is they never have a strategy of what they want to happen. So if you go in and you just do something, if you just go in and do blab, which I see a lot of people doing, they're blabbing, they're blah, 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 and they're talking, but they have no strategy for why they're doing it and then what they want the outcome to be. Why do it? Why take all that time to create a marketing platform for yourself and then not have any type of follow-up?
Yeah.
So why do we do that?
Yeah, why do we do that?
There's so many of us that do that.
Well, and I see a discongruency, right? That's what I love about both of y'all. When you see you come across exactly as you. Does that make sense? Because you see on the other blabs, right? You see this beautiful shot. So you've got this great graphic that they created, and it's all professional looking. And then you click on it, and it is three guys that are laying back, and they got a sweatshirt on, and they've got a Coke in their hand, and you're like, what?
This does not look like their image, right?
That's the part that I'm having a hard time with, is the discongruency of their marketing.
Right. Right. Okay, good. I'm glad that you're bringing that up, because people are looking for real now. We just had a conversation with a prospective client yesterday, and he was pitched several things. We're pitching him on his own show. We want to produce his own show, and another company was producing him on just doing videos. Well, the videos they wanted to do had all the lights and all the fancy stuff, and you had to be dressed just right, and everything was perfect, and it took a long time to days to create the shoot for a 3-minute video. And we're like, no, people aren't looking for that anymore.
Right. Just give me the info I'm looking for, and let me decide if it's what I need or not.
They want to see the real deal here. They don't want to see a made up, staged thing.
Well,
right.
Why do you think all the magazines are going more towards, people with real curves and all that? It's starting to swing back to let's have some real stuff here.
I want to go back to so one side of the spectrum, Tanya, is the three guys, drinking beer and talking trash in the blab session. And then there's the other side of, as soon as you get in the blab session, they're saying, buy my stuff. They're pounding you over the head about buy my stuff. And I think really, if you can provide value and some information that is unique and in alignment with what our goals are, you're in charge of Speakers Association. You help speakers get to the next level. That's your focus. That's your mission. That's your goal. Blab is none other than a way that you can distribute that information and help other speakers get to the next level, right?
Right.
I mean, that's why we're here. We're talking about marketing and media and connecting and making introductions and call to action. Right. That helps speakers gather that information out and get to the next level. What we're doing is teaching people technology about how that they can use, things like Blab and podcasting and marketing and creating images and, some of this stuff. It's very similar, and we're not pounding anybody over the head about what we're selling. However, it is adding value and connecting, add value, connect, and make sure that we can answer questions that allow us to produce a benefit to the market that's listening to us.
Yes.
So.
Well, I think too that you have this. Oh, I got that echo all of a sudden. Who's echoing? Let's see. Okay, so I muted Marion. I think that helped. I don't know why suddenly we have an echo, but anyways, when you're looking at you got to bring about a full-on strategy image, and I think that's one of the disconnects that we're talking about on Blab, especially, is that you've got an image that's the guy in a suit with a tie and everything, and then you come into his room and you see this guy laying back with, a beer and a t-shirt. You've got to, if that's going to be your image and you're going to be real and that's going to be your strategy, then they need to come in expecting that. They can't come in expecting a business person that's, maybe a lawyer looking guy and getting someone different, because now you're setting them up for a creation of a different value proposition. Don't y'all think that's a problem?
Yes, I do. Be real, people. Be real.
Right.
and don't be staged.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. You can put makeup on and you can put clothes on, please.
Thank you.
At least in the top half, right?
Yeah,
that's right. From the waist up, we need you to be clothed, please.
Yeah, and there's going to be trolls. I had one the other day. You just like, really?
Right?
What kind of a troll did you have, Tanya? Tell us the story.
Oh, he said some lovely things about women on the side. It was using some profanity that I won't say. And I just had to, click him off. And one of the guys that was on the side, he goes, "Hey, dude, cut it out," And I'm like, because it was all women on that show that day. And, finally I was like, oh my goodness, and let's click that off, it happens, and you just let it go. You don't get so focused on those kind of outcomes because you're connecting to someone brilliant. And that's really what marketing is about. It's about the relationship you're about to make with a potential client or potential opportunity or potential JV partner. What you just don't know until you have that chat with them.
That's right.
And it's funny how much value you can actually receive from a session on Blab right now. It's very easy to go into some of these things, and they're dropping nuggets of knowledge left and right, and it's just how much sharing is taking place these days. And it's really about, okay, there's no shortage of abundance. You can continue to grow and work together and create this entire value system that is sharing information. And really what it boils down to is, how is your personality going to connect with me? So I say, hey, I want to work with Tanya. I don't care what she's selling. I want to work with her. Anything she puts out, I'm going to buy. Right? And those are your favorites.
Exactly what happened when I met with Tanya. I was like, she's got it.
Yeah.
I want to follow her around. I want to hang out with her.
She's got to go.
I want what she's got.
She's got
and I saw right back at you, I mean, I think I met you, Russ, at Marion's little networking event, didn't I? I think you were speaking or something that day. I don't remember. But, you start connecting with people, and you start saying, as soon as I saw Marion, I saw two things. Let's just talk about this real quick. I saw someone who hadn't come into her own, and I saw someone that was so brilliant that was able to really connect and build relationships really, really quickly and very well. And that's kind of people that I want to be around, is people that I see the brilliance more than they do, because then I can help them show their brilliance, but also that they have that connectivity to people. Because if not, you meet people, you're like, I don't know how they are in business, because they're like pushing everyone away.
Right? It's like, do you realize what you're doing? God.
Yeah.
Russ and I met with a guy. He was almost combative. I mean, literally, I could almost feel his punches with his words. And I thought, how does anybody do business with you? I couldn't wait to get out of that meeting.
Let me suffocate some more here. Yeah.
And I don't know about guys, but for women, we could be so cruel by just saying one thing, to each other. One of the things that I'm always shocked about is this, kind of superiority complex that people have, especially around their children. I don't know if you get that, Marion. It's whatever, they think, if you don't have children and I do, or I don't have children and you do. It's like this whole thing around being a mom or not a mom, or what kind of mom are you? It's ridiculous. I'm so exhausted from it.
Yeah. Well, any measurement, anytime we're comparing, it's like, don't compare.
Yeah.
Everybody's unique. Everybody's has a gift. Everybody has a story. Everybody has something that they can share and contribute with. And right now there's, you can't run out of abundance, right?
Exactly.
You cannot run out of abundance. And I just truly believe that that's the case. And it's like, okay, I'm going to share what I'm going to share. And if you're right next to me sharing exactly the same thing, there are going to people, that was what we found with Marion and I. Some people really fall in line with what she's doing. And, it's the same thing. We're working together. We're, part of, we have a few companies together, right?
Exactly.
Some people like to work with Marion and some people like to work with me. And that's just the way life is. And it's okay. We don't compare ourselves. We don't measure. We don't compete for attention or anything like that. It's just, okay, well, here, you take this and I'll take that.
It's funny because Russ and I can talk about this. Now, we'll have meetings with certain individuals, and I won't pull anybody into the spotlight, but certain individuals or certain cultures or certain types of people, right, will not only gravitate to the other person, but they act like the other one's not there. It's almost like, okay, well, I don't see you. I'm only going to deal, even though I'm here, she's sitting right there. It's like, and so we talk about it afterwards. I'm like, wow, did you notice that? And he's like, yeah, I noticed it. Does that bother you? I'm like, no, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just notice it. I notice it.
Yeah.
It happens all the time, especially when have a partnership, there's going to be one of you that person will want to do the business with. For myself and my husband, it was always interesting. We go from, when I had retail stores and the guys would like pass by me to go talk to Michael about our lease or something. I'm like, hello, what am I, chopped liver? I'm like, I'm here.
Yeah.
But there's just those natural tendencies, I think, that people have.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I have a lot of respect for what Marion does and the power that she brings to the table. And she's a people collector. She's able to connect left and right. She has that innate ability to really,
thanks, Susan,
gather people around and say, hey, we're going to do something cool. And it's like, okay, cool, let's go.
And that's really what marketing is, right? Is that ability to draw people to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's most people's problem, including mine. That's fine. But then what? Okay, what's the call to action? How do we actually make something happen here? How do we get each other to move in the direction where we're going to make a sale or we're going to create something that brings in money? That's the problem, is that that's where everybody stops. Not everybody, but that's the biggest problem I think businesses have. As we get to that level, it's like, okay, we're doing something really cool, great.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you really have to invest in somebody to look at you and your business, right? So, I just hired a guy in Canada, the French guy, because he's brilliant. I mean, he's a way multimillionaire business person, and he just saw me at an event. He goes, are you doing this, this, and this? I'm like, no, can you help me with that? He's like, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to go and you have to invest in somebody, but you also have to show people what you can do for them. If he hadn't come up to me and said, are you doing this, this, and this? And because he saw that was missing from what I'm doing. So if you see something that is missing in somebody's, business or life, whatever, and you don't even let them know that you're even available, how are you going to help them?
Well, it's seeing it through a new perspective, a new lens, right? Because, Mary and I laugh about this all the time. It's like we're in the bubble. We're in a tech bubble and we're thinking everybody knows what we know. And that is absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
It's like everybody does that. It's like, no, they don't. It's like, we don't do it. We don't know what people don't know. Right.
Exactly.
So sometimes it takes someone outside the box to see.
We don't know what they don't know. And we don't know how they perceive what we said or what our message is coming across as. This is just happening to us right now. It's so new and we're so in the bubble. We don't know the conversation to have. We don't know the messaging so that they understand what it is that we're trying to get to them. What we can do for them. Right. So we're having to go outside of our bubble and say, okay, what are the words that people need to hear in order to get the information we need to connect?
Exactly.
Well, I want to ask Tanya this. I mean, you've been doing this. I mean, you have a daily show, right?
Oh no.
What happened?
Hello. Oh, there you are. Are you back now?
We're here.
I'm here.
Okay, y'all froze. I was like, oh no, they froze.
Oh.
Nope.
So what were you saying, Russ?
I was going to say, so you've been doing this and you have a daily show, right?
Yep.
So what has been your range of response about come and join my show in with people that are aware of it and people that are unaware of it? And how do you explain it in a way that makes sense? Because, you know, there are different platforms and people perceive television in one way and radio in another way and online is another, you know, a third dimension. So what's been consistent and what has been the range of answers that people have given you in regard to this platform and how you're sharing information on this platform?
I think it's created an incredible amount of opportunities to kind of get in. It's all about utilizing other people's people, right? So even say if y'all are on this show and we have so many people live and then we have so many people that watch the replay, but then I push it out to my social media so it gets them to see your face, to see your name over and over again. And that's the part that people don't value, right? They all want immediate gratification when a lot of times it's about building. It's about building into a community that fits you. So you have to be careful about joining a community that is opposite, because then you could be attracting the wrong type of people, right?
Right.
So a lot of it is about building the community. And since Blab is still pretty much new, it's amazing how fast I've gotten myself around the Blab world. So if I suddenly, the other day I got done with our event a little early, my TV show a little early, because the lady was at work and she had to go back to work. And so I just kind of bounced around on some other people's sites, and this guy, I was listening to them. They were talking about testimonials, and I said something about, I love asking people for testimonials. He was like, oh my gosh, there's Tanya Hoffman, bring her in. And I'm like, who is this guy? How does he know me? And he had just been someone that was listening to my show. So you have no idea where that's going to go long term.
Right.
Right.
So, and the reason I want to ask this is because consistency over time builds reputation, right?
Yes.
Even if you have 5 people in the room, either it's in a real room, an actual room, or a virtual room, if you have consistency over time, that builds a reputation. So when you actually show up in somebody else's feed, or you show up at an event somewhere outside your circle, people recognize you for what you are. They recognize who you are and what you do.
Exactly.
And that's what people continue to try to avoid in social. I mean, they don't want to take any time to develop that relationship. They don't want to take any time to develop the community around what they're doing. And even Marion and I, we get frustrated because, why don't we have, 500,000 members already? It's like,
yeah. And it's always surprising to me, because you'll go see somebody's profile and you're like, what? They've got 1 million followers on Blab? How did they do that? Because you watch their show and you see their personality, you're like,
right.
What's
the deal with that? I don't get it either.
Yeah.
But then
What
you
is
start
the deal?
seeing that little movement, right? And you start seeing the connectivity. And for me, I am not, I don't care about the 1 million people. I care about every single person that wants to connect. And to me, that's more valuable than just 1 million people that just know my name. It's not about the fame. It's really about the connectivity, the relationships that you build, right?
Well, if you have 10,000 people that will never buy your stuff, what's the real value of that, right? Is it social capital? Is it social proof? Is it, because it doesn't really prove anything, right? Exactly. It doesn't prove that I'm successful because nobody's buying my stuff, or I have nothing to sell. I'm just out here, and having a good time. And so, if you had 1,000 frantic fans that would love everything you do and purchase everything you put out and participate in every event you hold, I mean, that's really what you would love. I mean,
Yeah.
at least that's what I would love. I mean, that's what I'm working for is I want to build community. I want to build people that I can work with.
It's all about community, and it's all about finding the right community. And too many people just try to dive in and just create anything. It's like people who buy Twitter lists, and yeah, you may have, 100,000 people on Twitter, but you bought those people and they're not committed to you. So, nowadays, even for an email list, when I talk to all of the big, celebrities and the big speakers and all, they don't want to know how many people are on my list because that's irrelevant now. They want to know how many people buy from your list. That's a different question.
That's a great, and I really like to hear that. That's excellent information because, the thing that radio and television has always been is the Nielsen ratings, some of these things. Okay, we can broadcast to 2.4 million people.
Yeah.
Well, if, 2 million of those people have no radio in their house and they're not listening to you in the car, what value is it producing, right?
Exactly.
I'm paying for 2 million people that never going to turn me on. So when you talk about podcasting or you talk about broadcasting and streaming online, this is what we really get excited about, is the fact that we can actually measure the true actual results of people. And when you send it out on social and you have a call to action, it comes back to your website and you have a landing page or something, you can actually measure those results and say, okay, well, I have, I'm getting 7,000 hits per day and this is how many is converting and, this is actual results. So to your point, I don't care how many people are on your list. I care how many people are buying from your list.
Exactly. And even, hits on your website, we get between 50 and 100,000 hits a month on the Public Speakers Association. When you start looking at that, it has such value because it's where do they click? And then how many of those are members of the Public Speakers Association versus new people just checking things out. So you can really see what the value of your website is by where people are going and what they're actually interested in.
Right.
So we're kind of running to the end of our show here. Do y'all have anything that you would like to gift our listeners today?
Oh, yeah.
Either of y'all could go.
Get it, Marion.
Well, we have a wonderful book. It's an ebook, and it's a little different than most ebooks. And I'm not doing it just to get your email, just get on our list. It really, truly is a fabulous gift that we spent a lot of time developing. It's growth strategies, but it's different. It's the hacking growth strategies that really, really move you forward. And if you're willing to put the time into doing it, then you're going to see that this book is for you.
Awesome.
So growth hacking strategies, real world growth hacking strategies. So we would love to give that to you. If you just go to futuremediaassociation.com and sign up for our list, we'll be happy to send that to you right away.
Awesome. Make sure you put that over in the side so people can easily click on that. And Russ, is that what you're giving to, or do you have something separate? Yeah,
no, we're together, and I'm passionate about that book and that information because we spent a lot of time putting this together, and there's a lot of things out there that people are really excited about, and they're. When we talk about growth hacking, we're talking about things. It's not black hat methods. It's not anything. It's all system based. Because we love systems and we love workflow and we love being able to put these things in place. And it'll help you decide what you can do and adjust. Some tweaks in your business. So we're doing that, and we'll put that together for you. And more than happy. In fact. If you want to connect with us, we'll talk about your streaming media strategy and how you're using video or how you're using audio in your business, and love to talk to you about that as well. So
Awesome. And for everyone listening, I also have lots of fun things. One of them that I want to do is give you, I have a contest every month. I always pull for the first of the month, the winner. And it's a whole hour coaching session with me, which is $1,000 value. So if you go to TanyaHoffman.com/win, or you can just go to Tanya Hoffman's right there on the front page. And remember, Tanya's with an O, Hoffman's with one F, like Frank, two N, so Nancy, because my husband's family doesn't know how to spell their last name right. So remember that. We also have something that y'all all need to jump in on. We have a contest running right now for the publicspeakersconference.com, where you can nominate yourself or get someone to nominate you in case you feel weird about that, for local, national, or international collaborator of the year. So if you're like, oh yeah, I love collaborating, I love connecting people, make sure that you jump in on that opportunity and get yourself nominated. It's very important for you, especially if you're wanting to be a speaker and you're wanting to get yourself out there, to have nominations in your bio. So it's an easy way to get a kudos there. Plus, we also have a video contest running. It's under a 5-minute video. Please don't make it some fancy-dancy video. It's about your words. So the best business tip, the best personal story, the best whatever. There's a whole bunch of categories. So submit for that, and we'd love to. You could probably be a finalist for that. And again, you could use it for your bios and your, who are you, section on your website.
Interesting. That's very cool. When's that end?
At the conference, we're going to be posting pretty soon the end of the video contest and the nominations. So, it'll be before May, because the event's in June, so we'll have to have it all gathered so that we can put it all together and everything. The conference is in Palm Springs, California, June 26th through the 29th. So find out more about that, where everyone walks out with a gig unless you just don't want to be booked to speak. You walk out. And Marion's been to my conference quite a bit.
I love your conference.
Very cool. Very
it's
cool.
So much fun. It's like all the coolest people. The coolest and nicest people. And what I love being around a whole group of coaches, because that's really what speakers often are. You just ask them anything, and we just can't help putting our little coach hat out and helping you. It's just so fabulous.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious how much information you've gathered on these shows, being consistent as you are. I mean, there's lots of information being shared here every hour.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's incredible, when you start getting around, and people that just really give, because, I click on to some people and they're like talking, and I'm like, this is the most fluffy cloud talk I've ever heard. Let's kind of get down to some points.
Yeah. I want some meat and potatoes here.
Exactly. All righty. Well, we're at the end of our show. So enjoy us next time. And thanks for being on the Tanya Hoffman's fabulous TV show. Thank you, Marian LaSalle and Russ Johns.
Take care.